During a brutal Viking winter, one faced freezing temperatures in an unforgiving environment. There were no shops to buy food or necessities. Death from exposure during winter's worst weather was a constant threat. You ate what you produced or wore what you made to survive the chilling winter climate. In such a weather-dependent environment, the consequences of a poor harvest or being unprepared meant certain peril during the harsh winter season. Therefore, Vikings had to adapt, cope, and be very practical. So, how could you keep warm without central heating or furnaces? What did you eat when crops could not be grown? In other words, what did Vikings do to survive a medieval winter? Viking longhouses, built for a medieval winter. Vikings survived the bitter winter season through their well-constructed longhouses. These long, narrow refuges from the harsh climate were mostly made from timber. They were built as one long main room, enclosed by timber walls which were insulated with turf or thatched straw, wattle, and daub. Essential heat was provided by a long, narrow open fire pit lined with stones or an open hearth, which provided warmth throughout the longhouse. These heat sources were also used for cooking purposes. Smoke passed through ventilation holes in the curved roof, with this design keeping the warmth from residual heat inside. Tables for eating and beds for sleeping were placed nearby for comfort. Floors were often covered with reeds or rushes. Warmth during the medieval Viking winter. In the depths of a medieval Viking winter, warmth was essential for survival. But where to find it? The open fire pits inside longhouses and insulated timber walls were important for warmth. In addition, many longhouses were a combination of house and barn under one roof. In these arrangements, people resided in one area and the penned animals in another. Animal body heat would be greatly appreciated as a source for warmth, even though the noise and smell would be minor inconveniences. At nighttime during the winter season, Vikings slept under layers of furs and blankets. People also huddled or gathered together when practical to share body heat. On those occasions one did venture outside, limiting time outdoors was a practical way to lessen the chilling effects of winter weather. Clothing made for a medieval Viking winter season. To protect themselves against freezing wind and snow, clothing worn by Vikings had to perform well under harsh weather conditions. Men wore woolen tights or leggings and woolen tunics. This clothing used wool's great properties as an insulator and protector against wetness, moisture, wind, and cold to keep them warm. Fur-lined leather boots and shoes were often greased for further weather resistance. Underclothing made of linen was worn by both men and women. In addition, men and women layered their winter clothing, adding or removing garments according to winter climate conditions. Care had to be taken with overexertion while wearing these clothing layers in wintertime. If one perspired too much, they would take off the sweaty undergarments to dry while their body cooled down. Afterwards, they would dress again in the dried linen underclothing. Hats, shoes, and gloves were sourced mainly from animal skins. Large woolen cloaks, sometimes lined with fur or just fur skins, would be worn by men and women over their clothing layers when required with these chilling temperatures. Wool sourced from sheep was made into clothing by women. These skills were crucial to surviving the winter season. The intense labor used to produce, spin, and weave this wool by housewives deserves special mention, as these materials were vital for Viking winter survival. Women dressed in apron-like woolen dresses, draped over their shoulders and held in place by decorated brooches. Similar to men, they wore woolen tights or leggings to preserve warmth. Food for a medieval Viking winter. Farming was a key source of sustenance for Vikings, though how could you grow food during the bleak winter months? This is why food preparation and storing enough provisions for winter was never far from a Viking family's mind. In order to survive the chilling winter season, they preserved food gained from growing, hunting, and fishing in warmer months. Grains like rye and pulses were dried, then stored in airtight vessels and containers. Meat and fish were air-dried, salted, or smoked for preservation. Meat could also be preserved in a brine solution for consumption during winter. An ample supply of firewood was gathered in summer and early fall months for the longhouse fire pit during winter, as well as fodder for animals at that time. Livestock would provide essential vitamins during the winter season through products like cheese, eggs, and dairy. Vegetables, as well as meat, could be pickled. Root vegetables like turnips and carrots were stored in cellars. These foods could be used for high-calorie intake and to provide protein through meals like hearty stews. Nevertheless, stored and preserved food was not the only winter nourishment available for Norsemen. To supplement their diet, Vikings would venture outdoors to ice fish and hunt for game like birds, rabbits, and reindeer in the snowy landscape. These animals also provided fur and hides for clothing and warmth. Supplementing their stored food was crucial to ensuring there was enough nourishment to last until early spring. Water supplies came from dug wells, nearby running water, or snowmelt when possible and stored. Dairy whey or buttermilk from livestock was also consumed for liquid refreshment. Mead, a fermented honey drink, often accompanied food or feasts during the long winter season. Entertaining during a medieval Viking winter. Even during a medieval Viking winter, life was not all about struggle. Winter evenings were long and dark, making boredom and depression a constant threat to one's mental health. To relieve these issues, Norsemen adapted their daily routines. Storytelling of epic sagas and great tales was a popular seasonal pastime. Playing table and dice games helped to lessen depression and illness. Crafting, spinning wool, and women weaving cloth helped to pass away time in a practical manner while indoors. When enjoying time outdoors, children would build things like snow forts and have snowball fights. These activities taught them skills for warfare like combat, cooperation, and competition. Ice skating, using sharpened shin bones made from deer or oxen, was another favorite winter pastime. During the winter season, Viking men repaired and maintained their longhouses, cared for their livestock, and made tools for the spring farming season. In addition, they would enhance and develop their combat skills through training. Such physical activities kept them fit while generating crucial body warmth. Wintertime for Norsemen was also a period for quiet reflection. Community, hospitality, and transportation during a medieval Viking winter. Community-focused gatherings helped Vikings cope with the long dark days of the winter season. This included being a generous host to both expected and unexpected guests, providing warm clothes and hearty food for winter travelers. Feasting celebrated community spirit and socializing to combat isolation. Vikings used sleds and skis to go over their snowy landscape and for hunting. Today, people enjoy many winter activities when snowfall comes, though having food and necessities at our disposal has made wintertime pleasurable compared to a freezing Viking Age winter. These long seasons during the Viking Age, a period commonly assumed to have occurred between 793 to 1066 AD, required planning, courage, labor, and resilience to survive. Thank you for supporting us at Medieval to Modern. Please be sure to watch another episode shown at the end of this video. Also be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I wish you good tidings as we remember that sharing knowledge has been a noble deed throughout the ages.